I'm really not allowed a vacation, am I? I'm out here in Miami trying to enjoy the React Miami conference, and obviously, within an hour of me getting on the plane, immediately OpenAI announces that there will be another stream. And in that stream, they dropped some very fun things. O3 and O4 Mini. But this isn't just about those models. They are interesting models, the benchmarks are cool, O4 Mini is probably my new favorite model ever, but we have a lot more to talk about than that, because what this release represents is a huge fundamental attack on a certain company you guys are familiar with, Anthropic. It is clear that OpenAI does not like that Anthropic is currently seen as the developer-friendly company, which is why they're doing a bunch of chaotic things here, from creating their own open source alternative to Claude Code, to potentially buying Windsurf, to focusing almost entirely on tool calls and code integration. There's a lot here for developers in particular, and I can't wait to dive into all of it. I don't have the time to find a sponsor because I'm trying to enjoy this conference, so I guess just here's a discount code for T3 Chat, only valid for people who haven't signed up before. I think we'll do a free month, and once those have gone, I'll let 300 people do it. Maybe I'll put another code in the comments. We'll figure it out on the fly, okay? We're flying by the seat of our pants with this one. This is a lot. First and foremost, we should talk about the models themselves. As you guys can guess, we already snuck them into T3 Chat. You got O4 Mini here. Haven't put up O3 yet because it's expensive. We might put it up as an API-only thing if you want to bring in your own API keys. We did that for 4.5, but 4.5 is about to die. We'll figure it out. Just let me know if you really want to use O3 in T3 Chat, and we'll figure something out. But for now, we're assuming you don't. I've been playing with it already with O4 Mini. It's been pretty good. We'll do our favorite test, solve event of code 2021 day 3 in Rust. Sure. Takes a sec to start responding. It's reasoning, and they still don't expose the reasoning data over the API, which is sad. I was actually thinking they would because there was a bunch of breaking API changes with this release. Things like passing temperature and tokens have different keys in the actual API, which is weird. They haven't changed these things in a very long time, and none of the changes are necessary. So it seems like they were considering changing what the API gives. I'm sad we still don't get reasoning data because it makes it feel slower than it should. I want people to see that this is doing work immediately. But at the very least, here, it spit out code. It's working as expected. The couple tests I ran, it spits out code that is as good, if not better, than O3 Mini. And as you guys know, O3 Mini has been my favorite model for a while now, so I am super hyped to have a bump on my favorite thing. O3 still kind of feels like O1 in the problems that I have with it, where it's like super slow, really verbose, and probably good at solving super complex problems, but I am still not using AI for like deep, complex things. Even when I'm doing an Advent of Code challenge that's a little too far for what normally AI can do, I'll break it down into small parts and have it double check my work, but I'm not going to try and one-shot a complex problem with it. And the failures I had with O1, especially O1 Pro, were frustrating enough that I've not been using those models as much personally. And then when I saw the price, yeah, it is kind of crazy that the 3 models you should use with OpenAI right now are all brand new. Like a week ago, the OpenAI models I recommended are entirely different than the ones I recommend right now because these all just dropped. And like these are the 3. I still think there are very few cases for something like O3 now that O4 Mini exists. I'm almost surprised they put out both at the same time because it really shows that the smartest models aren't that much better than some of the cheap, really smart models. And O4 Mini is still an insane, insane value. $1.10 per million input tokens, $4.40 per million out. I haven't updated my tracker site for keeping track of all the prices, but it's the exact same as O3 Mini. So as just a quick reminder, I'll uncheck these super expensive things to make this a little easier to process. O3 Mini is less than half the price of Gemini 2.5 Pro for output and roughly the same price for input. It's also cheaper than 4.1, which is kind of crazy because it's a lot smarter than 4.1. And all of these things are cheaper than 4.0. 4.0 is more and more confusing every day, especially now that there's O4. 4.0, O4, naming is hard. I sympathize with them, but also self-inflicted. It's exactly double the price of DeepSeek R1, which is absolutely intentional. Anybody who says otherwise is lying. O3, different ballgame. $10 per million in, $40 per million out. For that, we're going to have to up some of these because the price is a lot closer to an O1 or a 4.5. It's a little cheaper than O1, which is nice. It dropped the price like 25 to 50% across the board. It's nice to see these changes. I'm happy that OpenAI is actually fighting the price war a bit more now. We see the difference, and they're fighting a lot more than that war right now. It's very clear. I want to go into how they're positioning themselves, but first we need to talk about the benchmarks. I skimmed through the live stream to find benchmarks because for once they didn't post any in the announcement, which is weird. There are some cool things in the announcement, but no benchmarks. So here's where we find them. And from here you can see why I'm not that impressed with O3. Here we see O3 with Python only versus no tools for this math competition thing where it could write code to solve the problem. With Python, it could get a 98 with O3, and it can score higher with O4 Mini. It's kind of crazy that they are putting these out at the same time, but I really think they want to make sure people aren't going to overspend for the non-mini model if it isn't necessary for their work. For the vast majority of tasks, I would expect O4 Mini to perform as well, if not better, than O3. But when you get to a certain level of depth on things, O3 definitely, probably at least, makes a lot of sense. If you know what those things are, show me, because I've yet to see much that O3 can do really well that something like O4 Mini cannot. And it's so nice that the mini models are continuing to be groundbreaking. It's wild that for the last however many months since O3 Mini came out, that's been the best AI model. And now O4 Mini has taken that crown again. Just crazy that mini models are this good now. Here is the SWE Lancer, which is a benchmark they made a while back for freelancing software dev tasks. O3 High smokes it here. This benchmark was weird when they put it out because it actually made them look really bad compared to Claude. Now it isn't, because O3 Mini and O1 High were roughly the same range as Claude 3.5 was. Now that they're double that, that's a very good look for them. And O3 and O4 Mini are both way higher on the SWE bench, which is a more common benchmark for how accurately can an AI model handle certain issues on GitHub. In the Polyglot Claude, I'm not as familiar with this one. The interesting thing that they were testing here is having the model spit out the whole code file when a change is made versus just a diff. The models historically have not been great at diffing. It's one of the things 4.1 did really well. But here we see O4 Mini is not performing that much better than O3 Mini did, and O3 seems to be a big gap there. So the Iter Polyglot seems to indicate that there is a good gap with O3. I am confused why you would use O3 in anything other than High, though. That seems not like something that would be worthwhile to me. Both are way better at math, too. Historically, OpenAI models have not been great at math. Cool to see this change starting to happen. They focused a lot on price, though, and this is something I really like. I did a video a while back called The Race to the Bottom that was all focused on how much cheaper models are getting right after OpenAI dropped their two most expensive models. So it seemed like it was aging very poorly. Seems like they're flipping the other way. They really want to focus on reducing cost per intelligence unit, whatever you want to call it. And the results are great. Like, it's so much cheaper, especially using the O4 Mini model. Prices are insane. I really want to talk about Codex, which is their Claude code killer. But first we need to talk about the crazy thinking with images stuff that they shipped with this. Reasoning models normally just spit out text during reasoning. This is the first time I've seen a reasoning model that thinks with images. So it's a multimodal model that can do things other than just text. And it will actually do those other things while it's reasoning. It can even search during reasoning now, which is nuts. O3 and O4 Mini are trained to think for longer before answering, and they use a long internal chain of thought before responding to the user. They still don't expose that long internal chain of thought. I get why they don't. That said, they're putting out an open model in the near future. It will be a reasoning model, and they're not going to hide this with the open weights. They're excited about the open model thing from everything I've been hearing. And I saw somebody speculating that the open model was going to be 4.1 nano. I don't think that's the case. I think the open model is going to be something much closer to O3 Mini. O3 and O4 Mini further extend the capability by thinking with images in their chain of thought, which is achieved by transforming user-uploaded images with tools, allowing them to crop, zoom in, and rotate, in addition to other simple image processing techniques. More importantly, these capabilities come natively without relying on separate specialized models. Remember that video I did talking about how the 4.0 image gen worked? The second one I did talking about all that? Looks like I was spot on. This is all about tools. OpenAI is more and more focused on tool improvements and getting AI to be better at using these tools that they're building, be it image transformation, search, running and writing Python code in order to solve math problems, all these things that the AI now can do. It's making it more useful, not necessarily smarter in the traditional sense, but at the same time, if you give an AI chatbot access to Python in a full Python environment, it's able to do math better because it can have the Python code do the math. So there's a lot of value to this stuff. It's still crazy they're doing all the image stuff through tooling, though. I thought that's what they were doing, and it's cool to see it more and more confirmed because their focus has been almost entirely on these tools and agentic workflows recently. Another cool thing that they talked about is that the tools are no longer tied to specific models, where image gen used to only be a thing you could do in 4.0. Some people noticed you could do it with 4.5, they disabled it. Now you can again. I was even playing with this earlier. Sadly, the image gen tools still aren't public like for us to use via the API, but I was able to pass my existential AI comic prompt over to O3 and it generated an image. It used O3 to generate the text, do all the normal chatbot things, and then it called tools to do the rest. And it worked. It's pretty good. Not as good as some of the other ones. I put a lot more work into the other generations, to be fair. It's not bad. I also have this cursed image I made a while back that I have not shared yet. So yeah, sorry I made you look at this. What do we get out of this image reasoning, though? Well, let's see what they have to say. ChatGPT's enhanced visual intelligence helps you solve tougher problems by analyzing images more thoroughly, accurately, and reliably than ever before. It can seamlessly combine advanced reasoning with tools like web search and image manipulation, automatically zooming, cropping, flipping, or enhancing your images to extract insights even from imperfect photos. This isn't a thing people who have spent a lot of time in Photoshop necessarily get, but the amount of times I've had a photo that had something in it I couldn't quite read or wanted more info on, and I threw it in Photoshop and transformed the photo till I could actually get the info I wanted, very real. If you're trying to do OCR, reading text off of something, being able to transform it if it's rotated, expand it, denoise it, and then read the text will make it much more likely to get a clean read. This is a very cool thing for them to include. Oh God, I hadn't even thought of this for students. The example they have here is uploading a photo of an economics problem set to receive step-by-step explanations, or share a screenshot of a build error to quickly get a root cause analysis. The school thing is very real. People are going to use this to cheat on their homework so bad. I can't even imagine. Here's an example. See how awful it is to read that text because it's just at a terrible angle? Here is where it's going to try and zoom in, crop, and transform it so it can read it. Here's where it flipped it, and now it can see that it's 4th February. Very good example. Here is it being told to solve a problem. Terrible, terrible photo. Analyze the image. Still thinking it through. There, it got close enough to actually see the diagram. Now it's starting to solve it. Crazy. Also, they finally got LaTeX rendering working properly. God, I don't even want to talk about how hard it is to get LaTeX and math rendering working in these chat apps. It's obnoxious. What's written on the sign? Oh God, how's it going to get that one? That's actually really cool. Good stuff. Oh, that's kind of nuts. Being able to work in tandem with tools like Python data analysis and image gen things to solve a maze. So here is a maze image with a transparent background passed in. It gives it a white background, loads it, writes a Python script to parse the image, runs it on the image, keeps reasoning to figure it out, and then the Python code is able to paint on the image. It can save it, output it, and give you the answer. That's actually nuts. I hadn't seen this until now. I am seeing what they're cooking. This is crazy. These benchmarks are all for multimodal testing, so visual things, and it's a huge jump from what they were seeing before. Yeah, this is a big jump for parsing images. I didn't really think there was that much more to do with images, and I was wrong. Pretty nuts. I'm happy they're calling out the excessively long reasoning chains bit here because I heard an example that they gave of O3 doing like 600 tool calls to figure something out. These models are very willing to call a ton of tools to verify their work because they just want to be right. But yeah, that's going to be a real problem, especially if these tools get more and more expensive. I don't know if you guys have tried the Claude 3.7 Thinking Max mode in something like Cursor. I did not think a single simple prompt is going to cost me $8, but yeah, these models and the tools that they use are more and more expensive. I guess they were until now. God, if I was Anthropic, I'd be scared just from all this. But again, this isn't even where the war starts. The war starts here with Codex. Codex is a lightweight coding agent that runs in your terminal. Sound familiar? Codex is a lot like Claude Code. You might notice a difference in these repos, though. And it's not the star count, as different as that is. The difference here is that Claude Code isn't actually open source. There's no code in here. This is just a place to track issues. There is a license. The license is making it very clear this is a commercial project and there is no code here for you to touch. It's just a place to give feedback. Not only is Codex by OpenAI properly open source, it's Apache licensed. Yeah, what? I did not think I would see the day that OpenAI is publishing Apache licensed CLI tools that in such a way that I can use them with any other model. Yeah, they're literally committing as I'm filming this, by the way. They just shipped another commit. Other fun fact, Fuad here, the developer who helped lead a lot of the effort, he's an old friend. He was actually previously co-founder of a company, Indent, that one of my good friends, Dan Gillespie, founded. And I just saw him randomly in the video announcing this. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, as you can see, looking at it, it's familiar. It's a very pretty looking UI for what is effectively a CLI that makes diffs to your code. I'm happy these tools are getting better and that there's now finally a good open source one. I saw a couple people working on their own separate ones, but one blessed by OpenAI that is truly properly Apache licensed. Like, this is going to be a big deal. I have a feeling. I haven't tried it yet, but I don't know how much I would get just quickly dicking around with it in my hotel room. I have a feeling this is quickly going to become a very, very popular thing, similar to Claude code. And the open source nature means a lot of very smart people will be contributing, especially since it's in TypeScript, especially since the UI is actually in React. Believe it or not, after digging through, that's not the right part. Here, package JSON, Ink.js. Ink, if you're not familiar, is a React renderer for the terminal, similar to how React Native lets you render on iOS or Android, or React 3 Fiber lets you render in Three.js and Canvas. Ink.js lets you render in the terminal. Very cool stuff. Means that you can use all the React patterns you're used to. That said, I've seen a couple people move off of Ink because it gets rough at scale. Just maintaining it well with the performance can be a real challenge. The Wrangler CLI by Cloudflare used to be using Ink. Then they moved to Go. Then they moved back to TypeScript, but no more Ink.js, so it'd be more performant and maintainable. So yeah, I've seen a lot of back and forth with this, and I have a bad feeling if they have performance issues, they're just going to leave JS, then realize they were wrong and go back to it. So to the OpenAI people watching this, to Fuad in particular, don't move off JS if you have problems. Talk to me. We'll get you guys off Ink if it isn't the right thing for what you're doing. But if it does work great, keep using it. It's a really cool piece of technology. So why are they doing this? Why would they put this out? I'm going to share one more interesting piece of info before I drop my conspiracy theories. OpenAI is in talks to pay about $3 billion to acquire the AI coding startup Windsurf. Hey, OpenAI, you know that I'm a lot cheaper than $3 billion, right? And I can fix your website? Sorry. Had a self-plug. Anyways. Windsurf's a popular alternative to Cursor that's starting to get some serious traction. I noticed how involved they were in some of the recent announcements, more so than I ever would have guessed they would be. They were being brought in to talk about the new model as part of the reveal. Seems like they are very close now. Why would they be doing this? What's OpenAI's mission? I want to open Excalibur, but I have to hold the mic, so it's not going to be very fun if I do, so I'm just going to explain what I'm thinking here. My suspicion is that OpenAI sees Anthropic's one remaining advantage, which is developers like them. And they decided they want to take that away. Usually when a company is liked by developers, there's a bunch of different reasons, like they ship a lot of open source stuff, they release products that are useful to developers. The only reason I think developers like Anthropic so much is because Claude has been a better than average model for code stuff, and in particular, it's been good at tool calls. OpenAI has taken this as a challenge. They saw the excitement around Claude code and decided to make something better by making it open source. They saw the excitement around all the tool call stuff, and they know that's a real advantage that Anthropic has, so they went all in on tools for the last 3 releases they've done with new models. And obviously the IDE wars are a thing that Anthropic's been deep in for a bit now. They work super closely with Cursor in order to get the latest models in with all the fancy new features. OpenAI won't have to compete there if they have their own IDE. All of these moves, including the upcoming open source model they're going to do, because Anthropic's never really released an open source model, by the way, all of this together, it seems to be positioning OpenAI to be loved by devs again, ideally more so than Anthropic. All of this is an attempt to take the one advantage Anthropic has, which is the positive sentiment with devs, both because of the tool calls and the quality of the output for code stuff, and just smother it super quick. It seems like they're spending their money right now to destroy the one real piece of competition they have. And it's not like Anthropic's is good for science or math or all the other things that OpenAI has historically been the winner in, but developers prefer Claude. That might finally change here. Gemini 2.5 Pro showed the cracks in the armor. It showed that there are developers who are willing to move off. And I think what OpenAI is doing is trying to sneak in the same way and totally destroy the one advantage that Anthropic has. Very curious to see how this goes. In my opinion right now, they've done a very good job. OpenAI is lowering prices, which Anthropic isn't doing. O3 Mini and now O4 Mini are as good as pretty much everything Anthropic has for less than a third the price. It's actually hilarious how much cheaper it is. They're putting out real open source tools to improve the quality of experience we have using OpenAI models and theoretically other models as well. They built the API that we're all copying and using. Like every single AI inference provider is just doing their own version of OpenAI's. And we're probably going to get a super powerful open source model in the near future too. Oh, and the tool call stuff, but that's catching up. The rest of this isn't OpenAI catching up to Anthropic. It's OpenAI doing the things Anthropic probably should have in order to maintain their sentiment with devs. I am very hopeful this is the shift that makes Anthropic start fighting for dev approval again. Because right now it feels like they're coasting on the fact that devs like them, and they're not doing the things they should be, like open source and lowering prices. I am thankful that we have a competitive market where these companies are actually pushing each other to improve in these ways. I am very, very thankful OpenAI is taking developers more seriously right now. I honestly feel a bit pampered at the moment because they didn't put 4.1 in their app, which meant a lot of people came to T3 Chat to use it. By the way, 4.1 and O4 Mini, both on T3 Chat. And they're making the prices better too, so our margins are not as bad as I thought they would have been. It's, as a person who is building tools that consume both of these models and both of these APIs, personally, I feel like OpenAI is working more in my interest than Anthropic is. That can change at any moment, but it's been a huge notable shift that I have felt meaningfully right now more than ever. The only way I feel wrong by OpenAI is they only do this stuff when I am traveling. Seriously. The running joke now is all we need if we want AGI to happen is for me to take a 1-month vacation, because the speed all this stuff comes out as soon as I try to take a break is hilarious. Speaking of which, I'm going to go try and enjoy this conference. I've been sitting in the hotel room since I got here in order to make this video. Shout out to my editor for pulling this all together. And until next time, peace nerds.